This is part 1 to Pink Friday, the global impact of Nicki Minaj's pop era. Before the world knew Nicki Minaj, she would be known for her feature verses and mixtapes, but it would be in 2009 where she would get her big break when Lil Wayne discovered her and she signed on with his label Young Money Entertainment. Before Pink Friday, her style was very New York street style. She'd always be seen wearing her bamboo earrings, very muted colours. She'd stick to very casual looks and she'd only be very bold with her hair. As you can see, she'd always sport pink highlights or curly hair, and then she'd also sport her iconic Barbie necklace. The 2010s was an era where pop music was at its best. Multiple artists were producing pop hits every single day, and it was a very competitive time to be a musician, whether you were a rapper or a pop artist. So Nicki had to figure out a way to stand out in the mainstream media. Fast forward a couple months after Massive Attack, Nicki Minaj's highly anticipated debut studio album, Pink Friday, was released on the 23rd of November 2010. With 375,000 copies sold in its first week, Pink Friday became the second highest debut week for a female rap artist. Debuting at number 2 on the Billboard 200, Pink Friday spent 14 consecutive weeks in the top 10 following its release. Taking a risk with her sound, this album is a pop and R&B masterpiece with influences of EDM and hip-hop. Despite critics claiming she wasn't a real rapper, the rap icon made a transition so successfully that she paved the way for female rappers today. It should be known that Nicki wasn't the only rapper blending and mixing the two genres together. Drake did it, Lil Wayne did it, but she's a woman in a male-dominated genre, so yeah. During this era, Nicki wore a lot of colourful, campy, wild outfits. Her theatrical style was often compared to Lady Gaga's, and as you can see, you can understand why there was a comparison, but this comparison would eventually irk Miss Minaj, as she would say we're in totally different lanes. This doll-like fashion appealed to many. With her costumes and colourful wigs, Nicki Minaj's fan base grew bigger and bigger. Pink Friday was just the beginning and the start of Nicki's long-standing reign as the queen of female rap. Stay tuned for part 2. Welcome to part 2 of Pink Friday, the global impact of Nicki Minaj's pop era. By 2011, the promo for Pink Friday was in full swing. Nicki was seen everywhere, from award shows, red carpets, interviews, performances. We couldn't get enough of her. Fast forward a couple of months and it's February 2012, Nicki Minaj hits the Grammy stage with her iconic yet very controversial performance of Roman Holiday. I really love how she really committed to the whole Roman alter ego thing on the red carpet. This outfit is the best outfit that Roman has ever worn, in my opinion. Following on from that highly criticized performance, Nicki announced that she would be releasing her second studio album, Pink Friday Roman Reloaded, on the 2nd of April 2012. This album saw Nicki dive headfirst into the pop world and she quickly became a global pop icon. It's a very versatile album that produced a lot of electro pop songs like Whip It, Automatic, Roman Holiday. But she also slowed it down with the ballad Marilyn Monroe, so Nicki was proving that she was a very versatile artist. Pink Friday Roman Reloaded is an eclectic body of work with impressive features and pop hits that appealed to the general public. From a career standpoint, Nicki Minaj made such a courageous choice to venture into the pop field, especially at the time that she did. She's a trailblazer that broke down barriers and deserves the credit for the doors that she opened. Roman Reloaded debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, and her lead single, Starships, is among the best-selling singles of all time worldwide. In past interviews, Nicki Minaj said that this was the most fun that she's had making music. And if you really listen to the album, you can tell Nicki was just having a blast in studio. especially with songs like Stupid Ho. Like, it's so bonkers, but it's so good at the same time. Like, it's so crazy that it's so good. Her carefree, fun, party girl energy really radiated through all of her looks during this era. I feel like that is the embodiment of happiness. The colour pink would become highly associated with Nicki, and it made her a trendsetter and would have multiple people dressing up as her just for fun. Going pop was bigger than just Nicki. It was a smart career move that would cement her longevity in the music industry. This is Pink Friday, the global impact of Nicki Minaj's pop era part 3. And the final one. Soon after achieving success with Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded, Nicki Minaj released the Re-Up, which is a reissue of her previous album, and it was titled Pink Friday, Roman Reloaded, The Re-Up. It's such a mouthful. It was released on November the 19th, 2012, just 7 months after the release of Roman Reloaded. The Re-Up features 7 new songs that incorporates R&B and hip-hop styles, plus BTS footage of Nicki's tour/studio sessions. Her singles were The Boys, High School, and my personal favourite, Freedom. 2012 was really Nicki's year. She was doing everything from performing, interviews, releasing perfumes, and she also was announced as a celebrity guest judge on American Idol just a couple months prior. Like, she was busy. Like, I don't know how she did it, but she was doing everything. In terms of commercial performance, her album didn't do as well as her previous albums, as you would imagine with a reissue, but Nicki actually expressed her thoughts on this, and she said that she thought that Target and Walmart were setting her up to fail, as neither of the retailers were actually stocking her album. And both retailers kind of came back and said something along the lines of, we don't stock albums with parental advisory. I don't know, but yeah, that was what Nicki thought on that situation. However, the Re-Up still managed to sell 36,000 copies in its first week, so that's pretty impressive if you ask me. Following on from Pink Friday tour, Nicki's demand was very high, so she had to extend her tour, and she renamed it and called it Pink Friday Reloaded Tour. In comparison to Pink Friday tour, the Reloaded tour was very grand. It had a bigger stage, more dancers, she had more fans, she was signing boobs, she was signing arms, she was doing everything. Her style remained pretty consistent with her style from her previous albums and eras. It was very cute, girly, extravagant, wearing neon colours, bright bold wigs, she was doing it all. This era was a moment. This is how Nicki Minaj changed the game with the Pink Print era. Let's take it a couple years back for context. So after reviving the female rap game in 2010, Nicki Minaj's back was aching from carrying... I'm joking. After touring and a couple of awards later, people were wondering what Nicki would be putting out next. Whether it was pop, rock, hip-hop, both, everyone wanted to know. Now introducing the Pink Print era, Nicki Minaj's 3rd studio album is released on the 15th of December 2014, and everyone goes nuts. The Pink Print is a hip-hop album with elements of pop, R&B, and trap music. This album showcases her undeniable flow, her pen game, and vocal ability. It's a very cohesive album with tracks like Bed of Lies, Grand Piano, but she also switches it up with phenomenal collabs like Get On Your Knees and Feeling Myself. Her second single, Anaconda, peaked at number 2 on the Hot 100, and her music video for Anaconda broke the Vivo record for the most viewed music video in 24 hours with 19.6 million views. This was revolutionary for the music industry, and the impact of Anaconda alone is another conversation for another day, but this video grabbed the world's attention. The pink print debuted at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and it held that position for 3 weeks. OMG. With 244,000 units sold, 198,000 of them were in pure sales. With this album, Nicki focused on putting her skills on display, and by the time Pink Print came out, she'd already acquired a very loyal fan base. She no longer needed to find new ways to pop stardom. She was a global star at this point. Stay tuned for part 2 on how Nicki changed the game with the Pink Print era. Welcome to part 2 of how Nicki Minaj changed the game with the Pink Print era. By this point, Nicki was dominating the hip-hop genre in the same way she did pop. But of course, misogynists and critics couldn't believe that one woman could be this successful in 2 different genres, especially a male-dominated genre. So they did what they would usually do and they came up with rumours that Nicki Minaj slept her way to the top. Nicki actually clapped back at these rumours by creating the hit song Only featuring Lil Wayne, Drake and Chris Brown, including the 2 rappers that she was accused of sleeping with. Crazy. The Pink Print is really about Nicki becoming more vulnerable with her fans and letting her verses speak for themselves, and you could really see that in the way that she dressed. The Pink Print came at a time where Instagram was still fairly new in comparison to other social medias. I think it had only existed for like 4 years at this point. So all the celebrities were on it. Every single celebrity was on this app. From Justin Bieber to Ariana Grande to Beyonce, and they were all sharing their pictures and performances and every little snippet of their life just to get closer to their fans. And Nicki's Instagram was seriously popular during this time. She was always posting, always active. She'd post pics like this and she'd also post mirror selfies and no makeup selfies and Instagram booty pics. Like, she was actually a part of the 2014 IG baddie aesthetic, but I feel like she was one of the first celebrities to kind of do it in a way that like other people could emulate, like influencers. I would describe her style during this era as very minimal and chic and feminine. Like, she would still show skin, so it would be a little sexy, but it wouldn't be too much. The combo of the light makeup and the dark hair was just so powerful. It was very seductive and very much giving it girl energy. This is actually one of my favourite red carpet looks from Nicki. I feel like in this one you can really tell that she stripped back and took the more natural approach with her outfit and her overall style during this era. It was very, very different from the animated pink girly. Though people loved Nicki's pink hyperactive era, I think the polished look from the Pink Print era is really what reeled people in. This is part 3 of the Pink Print era, how Nicki Minaj changed the game. We can't talk about this era without talking about this look. The 2015 VMAs. Nicki looked like she's literally been dipped in gold. I don't know who the stylist was or who the designer was, but this outfit is absolutely stunning. And this was also the night that we got the iconic Miley What's Good. Fun fact, in a past interview, Nicki actually said that the Pink Print album is a blueprint for female rappers to come. To support the album, Nicki went on her 3rd concert tour and she did North America and Europe. She was traveling everywhere. She was also doing festivals, so she was pretty busy during this time. The costumes that she sported on this tour were absolutely beautiful. Like, they were so detailed and I can just imagine like seeing it in person and just being so like in awe. I absolutely love this gown. It's like, I don't know what you'd call it, but it's just beautiful. Like, it's literally show-stopping. You can't help but stare at it. Oh, amazing. I read somewhere that one of her stylists during this time, said that they were looking to like present Nicki in a more like luxurious modern silhouette and kind of just showcase that she's very much high fashion, and I think they definitely achieved that during this era. This era was really Nicki's metamorphosis. Like, but it was almost like the opposite of a transformation, like that you'd expect. Like you'd expect Nicki to start off like this in her debut, but she didn't. She started off with the like brazy outfits and the wild hair, and then she stripped it back after her third studio album. So I think that is just, I don't know, I think that's a really cool aspect about Nicki's like different eras, is that she definitely came in full force and letting everyone know that she is the queen of female rap and she's not going anywhere. At the end of the day, you don't have to love this woman, you don't even have to listen to her music, but I think if you fail to recognize her impact, that's the problem, like that's the issue, because she's already done so much and she's already proved herself. Welcome to Nicki Minaj, the Queen era. Before Nicki Minaj dropped her fourth studio album, Queen, she was actually on a social media hiatus, so she wasn't posting, she wasn't active, and this was especially hard on the Barbs as Nicki is very interactive with her fans. People were interested to find out what Nicki will be putting out next. She was releasing a couple of singles and remixes with a few other artists, but there was no major information about Nicki's album. This was up until Nicki donned the Met Gala in her beautiful Oscar de la Renta dress and announced that she would be putting out her next album on June 15th. Unfortunately, the album would be pushed back 4 times, so that meant the actual release date of her fourth studio album would be the 10th of August 2018, and that's when Nicki Minaj graced us with the album Queen. To promote the album, Nicki launched her own radio show titled Queen Radio, which featured a bunch of celebrity guests and a lot of intense talks and discussions. Despite just being promotion for her new album/era, Nicki really used Queen Radio as a great platform to discuss topics and conversations that she really wanted to talk about. But don't get it twisted, Queen Radio was not your normal radio show. Nicki really did this for the fans because she used the platform to discuss serious topics and things that were going on in the media industry, and she was sharing her opinions and thoughts in a safe space. It also birthed a lot of memes that we know and love today, so I'm so grateful for Queen Radio. The Queen album debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and her lead single Chun-Li peaked at number 10. So overall, the album was definitely a commercial success. However, this was unfortunately overshadowed by the feud with Cardi B, and this is something that the media and general public played into and egged on, and it's really unfortunate because the album is a great album, but it was just completely overshadowed by a lot of that. I think a big reason why this album/era isn't Nicki's favourite or isn't a fan favourite is because of the constant hate and industry sabotages that she went through, such as lack of radio play, which is a really big thing. And when she spoke out about all of this, it wasn't received well at all. And because this was at the beginning of the album rollout, it didn't give a lot of people hope for what was to come for the rest of the era. Stay tuned for part 2 on Nicki Minaj, the Queen era. This is part 2 of Nicki Minaj, the Queen era. During the early album rollout, Nicki was on interviews, she was doing performances, she was everywhere, but she was also on social media a lot. And on social media, she was speaking out a lot about the industry and media and her opinion on different things. And a lot of people were branding her as angry or bitter. It's unfortunate because I feel like a lot of people weren't trying to really understand where her frustration was coming from. Of course, the Barbs were defending her and trying to get people to see Nicki's point of view, but still general public and media didn't take well to Nicki's opinions. Nicki has always been outspoken about things in her career and about injustices that she feels that she's facing, or just general things that she wants to stand up for. She's always been outspoken, so I think for the Barbs and for people that have followed Nicki's career for a long time, they weren't surprised when this was happening. And that's actually really unfortunate because I think lyrically this album is Nicki's best, and she was trying to show everybody how sick her pen game was, but people were too distracted about feuds, about opinions and drama that had nothing to do with her actual art. One thing I really enjoyed about this era is the theme of female empowerment throughout her visuals and looks. I love the gold and the regal vibe to all of her outfits during this time, especially in her performances. I think that really helped keep that aesthetic and the vibe of queen and royalty. I really enjoyed that she played into the bad guy trope that the media was really going with the whole Chun-Li aesthetic. I think it was really cool how she brought that in her performances and into her music. Even though the outfits during this era weren't my absolute favourite, I did enjoy how Nicki brought back the different coloured wigs and kind of gave a nod to her past and debut era with Pink Friday and how she had the crazy pink wigs and blonde wigs and different coloured hair. Either way, this was not an easy time for Nicki and the Barbs at all, and a lot of people's personal opinions about Nicki overshadowed their thoughts and opinions on her actual artistry.